ideas. The first one I talked about is augmentation. The idea that we don't want your business analysts to spend their life on the treadmill producing reports for business users. We want to be able to use the power of the cloud and the power of machine learning so we can kind of auto-generate reports for you, which also starts with the preparation, the automatic preparation and security of the data. So I'll show you a little bit what that looks like. We want to make sure that your world is integrated. We know today that the average organization has 10 to 15 different data sources. And so when you see integrated, I don't just mean integrated Oracle data or Oracle applications. I'll talk a little bit, customers like Skanska, for instance, one of the largest SQL Server customers. Right? So tens of thousands of SQL Server, data sources from the outside, marketplace data source. We want to be the place where they bring it together because we understand data management better than anybody else. And collaborative is this idea that because we span across so many different personas, and because our customer base are enterprises that have lots of employees across many geographies, we want to make sure that when systems work together, people can work together. So you'll see, for instance, a very simple example of collaborations, of course, our integration with Slack, but also our integration across multiple languages. We're the only analytics vendor that supports 28 languages. Right? So, and I'll show you what I mean when you talk about our analytics capability on your phone when people can't type and they have to talk to their analytics interface. Well, you can talk in French to data that's in English, and we'll return back the results.
Bruno, does that apply to the explain feature as well? Does it go that far?
Yeah, so the whole catalog and it's across the platform. So, because there's so much depth here, what I thought I would use is one example that I think we're all familiar with. This is the syndrome ECS. Do you guys know what I mean by ECS? I think I made it up. I don't know. Donald, did you invent this term and I'm stealing it from you? Or?
I don't know. I didn't
don't know.
The acronym.
It's the empty canvas syndrome. Every business analyst is confronted with this. I remember when I worked with business objects, you know, that saying that the universe is super powerful. You look at the tables looking at you, you don't know who's on first. Like, what are we building here? And the same thing happens if you open Tableau today, if you open Power BI today. Okay, I got dimensions, and I go, okay, what's happening here? And why can we not use the power of machine learning to do a little bit more work for us? Because otherwise, this is what a life looks like. When my boss says, I need to know a conversion across these geographies, okay, well, go off and use your analytics tool. You don't know where to start. Because maybe you don't understand the data, maybe you don't know how fresh the data is, maybe you don't know how secure the data is, maybe you don't know how to use the pivots. And even if you're an expert, sometimes you need a little extra help to understand how to maybe mash data together. So here's an example of what this looks like in Oracle Analytics Cloud. So we start with a simple example of I'm just dragging a spreadsheet. And once I do that, it's automatically loaded, and I can click Visualize to say, I want to see this data. Well, what's the first step of working with data is making sure that data is clean and data is secured. So here, Oracle Analytics Cloud has detected that it's the social security numbers, and it says, do you want to protect this data? Of course you do. Then it goes in and says zip codes. Interesting. Do you want to know what state the zip codes are for? Sure. Give me the states. Do you want to know what cities those states and zip codes are related to? Sure. And then also notice that you have first names. Do you want to know gender of these first names? Sure, go ahead and do that. And then next, I have last names and first names. Do you want me to concatenate these so you have another field that has first name, last names? Sure, go ahead and do that. That's 85% of our business analyst day is spent cleaning up data, trying to put it together. It's a nightmare. Well, we do that automatically for you. Again, simple spreadsheet. What's the next piece of the nightmare on the pipeline for building a dashboard? Okay, great, now I've got clean data, and I'm looking at this. I want to build a report that's about attrition. Well, what is attrition? Where does the data come from? What are the anomalies related to the data? Again, your Oracle Analytics Cloud is focused on that. It's trying to make this easy for you. So you right-click, and this functionality that you mentioned called Explain, which doesn't seem to want to roll here. Let's see. There you go. When you right-click on it, it will come up, hopefully. What does it not come up? Let's see here. I guess I gotta click. I gotta make it run myself. There you go. Okay? There you go. I'll come in here and I'll just explain attrition. This is probably one of the least known but most powerful features Oracle Analytics Cloud has, which I'll take a piece of data like this, and I'll actually look at the data and analyze the possibilities of how you can look at it, so it helps you create a dashboard for yourself. I think one of our competitors shipped something that's similar to this in the last 60 days. We've had this for 4 years. So what happens here? It tells me, okay, the basic facts on attrition. What happens next? Well, it tells me, well, there are key drivers to attrition. So in your organization, the people that leave, what levels, what functions are they at? And you can see here, I'm clicking them because I'm saying, that's an interesting view. I want to kind of investigate this a little bit more. Then what I do is I'll say, okay, well, how do I segment and would explain attrition? Remember at the beginning, I really knew nothing about attrition. I had some attrition data, I had some dimensions measures I could work with. Oracle Analytics Cloud has already kind of looked through, well, the way you could segment it is maybe by job roles, the salary increase, maybe the education of the employee, their answers in surveys for work-life balance. What makes somebody leave your organization, maybe? And then the next step it does is says, you know what, I also noticed some anomalies about this data set. And I noticed that when people travel frequently, they tend to quit more often. Oh, that's interesting, let's refresh that with that data. The point here, though, is that by the time I'm done with this process, I can just add all these views to my dashboard. So what I'm trying to do with this offer here is try to shorten the path from I just have data that's in the spreadsheet all the way to a place where I can now talk about this data in a way where I know the data is secure, it's clean, and I have some level of understanding with the data. Very few analytics tools do this because we're not a tool. Again, we're a platform. It's cloud native and it's using the cloud capabilities to help us kind of work through all these things. You can imagine that in the future, one of the items that we'll have is, okay, well, if you have external industry data, would you want to add that and maybe correct your data with that? So that opens all types of possibilities for us by being a cloud native vendor where we can just bring in through APIs this ability to enrich their data.
Bruno.
Yeah, I guess I'll just
saw
take
earlier a
questions.
slide about